Welcome back, guys, to another gun build in Modern Warfare. Today we're actually going to be looking at the FN Scar 17 uh, assault rifle. This is supposed to be more of like a weird blend between a DMR, like the DMR or marksman rifle areas, and the Odin thrown together, while still having the same fire rate as the AK-47 and damage output as that. And it's actually a really underrated gun. A lot of people didn't really like it at first because it's fairly heavy and it's pretty slow by default, especially when you add in a bunch of attachments to that. But I found a really solid kind of build to this gun to where it can keep its good strength of it being really good at longer ranges for its real high damage potential, and makes it to where that's still pretty fast to be used up close and have more of like a close to medium range uh, solid use. So I want to go over that now and go over the whole build for that, and I'll jump into a game and show you guys how that kind of plays out and how it feels. So right off the bat, we want to be putting on certain attachments to help out aiming stability and aim down sight speed. So we're going to be kind of building it towards more being like a marksman rifle for accuracy. The tac laser is just going to help you out, and that's like one of the best attachments to be using when you want your gun to be a little bit faster. But it also adds aiming stability, so you can actually make it to where it's a little bit easier to get off that real long shot kind of shot off because your gun won't sway as much. On top of this, you want to put on a stock to stack with that, and this is its custom made stock for the gun. It's the XRK Obelisk Pro. It's like the F-Tac Hunter stock, but better, and actually matches the aesthetic to the gun. And you also get yourself aim walking steadiness and aiming stability along with that. And I'll make it to where that it hardly moves at all when you're actually aiming. For the barrel, we're not going to be running the longer barrels on there, even though it does increase your range only by 10 meters. It doesn't really do that a whole lot if you're using the heaviest one. This gun, again, like its one weakness is having a pretty good amount of weight to it. So adding any more weight to the gun is kind of bad, especially when the barrels don't really do enough for the actual like benefits for longer ranges to actually have kind of any kind of use to it. So we are going to be skipping the barrel on this one. It has pretty solid range, and it'll make it to where that still stays fairly light for its base handling. And we're also going to kind of keep the magazine off as well. We are going to keep it to the 20 round magazine. The magazines kind of add a little bit too much weight, especially when you put on the 30 round mag. So we're not going to be putting that on there. For the undergrip or underbarrel grip, we are going to be putting on the operator foregrip. This is the one grip that helps the most amount in recoil control, but it does hurt your ADS speed just a little bit, or a little bit more than all the other grips there, except for the Ranger foregrip, I think. Whereas I guess it doesn't have the Ranger foregrip for this one. Normally, it's like the second slowest to the Ranger foregrip, so it will help you out plenty with the actual recoil control. You can't use the bipod foregrip, that's like the Merc foregrip and bipod thrown together, so if you're going for a real DMR kind of build, you can't put that on there, and it actually might be the best attachment for that. But again, this is supposed to be like a weird blend between being really good at long ranges while still being real competitive and close to medium ranges. For this, I want to run with the PBX Hollow because it has a 1.5 times zoom compared to the reflex or red dot sights that only have a 1 time zoom. Even though it's not stated, it does. And for the final attachment, that's kind of up to you guys. If you want to, you can put on like another attachment to help out for recoil control, like a muzzle brake, so it can recenter more, and that gives you a little bit more of a better long shot kind of accuracy there. And I'll jump into a game and show you guys how this stuff goes. I'll make sure I have everything set right. I like this gun a pretty good amount. I've been using it. I think I saved some type of gameplay not too long ago where I actually got the Juggernaut suit in shipment. You're shooting people all the time in shipment. It's the smallest map, but I mean it's pretty dang impressive if you get a Juggernaut without getting shot at or being killed in that such a small map there. So as you can see, yeah, it's not really the lightest gun in the game.
Team
The ADS
deathmatch.
time is pretty
Enemy
slow,
threats in the AO.
but it's
Weapons
not
hot.
too bad.
Enemy at the
We're in
doorway.
control.
Oh. And this gun does have a really weird thing. I didn't really notice that until now. And it does the same thing as the G36C or the Holger 26, which I talked about plenty in my gun builds. It's like one of the lightest LMGs in the game, and you can build it to where it's an extremely fast assault rifle. If you build it right, but it does a pretty good amount of damage. It's just nothing great when it comes to actual time to kill, but it's not bad either. It doesn't really require a whole lot of skill like the M13 does, but this gun, much like the Holger 26, the thing that I'll listen to when I'm reloading is a certain noise or audio when I'm reloading my gun to let me know that when I'm actually able to cancel my reload or the actual reload animation, so I can, use less time going through the whole reload animation. And that is a weird little click when you hear your magazine like lock in with the actual gun there. So for a split second for this one though, that little click is just about like a fraction of a second behind the actual time that the rounds will go back up to its normal full magazine there. So it's kind of weird. But the G36C or the Holger 26 does the exact same thing when you're using a 30-round magazine.
Enemy at the
So
yellow
it's
building.
just something to keep in mind.
Back behind the barrel.
The gun doesn't really have that bad of reload speeds. It is fairly fast, which is good because, only has 20 rounds by default.
Up and running.
The one thing I do recommend running with this thing, though, is either overkill with another gun that's using 7.62 rounds. 7.62 NATO. I don't think the AK uses. Yeah, the AK doesn't use 7.62 NATO. So either run scavenger or overkill with another gun using the same rounds, and you'll be fine. Because this thing does run out of ammo really quickly. Even though I was going after the whole Juggernaut gameplay, I did switch over to a couple more guns, getting that because this thing just doesn't have enough ammo in it to go on real long streaks, even though it does hit like a truck, so it is fairly balanced. So it's like the opposite end of like the Vector in a way. So I believe the only other gun that you can really use with this, oh no, that's 7.62 Soviet. So let me see, what kind of gun actually use this kind of rounds? I believe this might be the only type of gun that actually uses those rounds there. You probably put it up with like a certain LMG. Let me see here. That's odd. Okay. Yeah, so I don't think there is any kind of actual gun to be using for overkill for this. I haven't actually checked that. Let's see, what is this one? Yeah, so it uses 7.62 NATO rounds, which apparently, yeah, so you can use it with the EBR-14. It's not stated in the description, but you can use it with this gun. Unfortunately, I think that's the only other gun that actually uses that kind of round on there, compared to all the other ones. So, that's probably your best bet if you want to actually go for overkill and stack that. Or if you want to, you can just run like fully loaded on there, or go with scavenger with fully loaded, so you can do a bit of a combo. And you don't need to run like the optic or anything on there. Because the iron sights are fairly good as is. It is supposed to be more of a longer range kind of build, or longer range kind of set gun, so the iron sights will work just fine for longer ranges.
Up and running. Up and running.
So think of it more like, since it is using the same type of ammunition, so I guess it is more of like an automatic version of the EBR-14. But it is actually a really solid gun. It's just really slow, much like the AK-47. Now for the AK-47, you can put on a smaller barrel and even put on an ammo conversion to where it does reduce the recoil a fair bit, so it doesn't bounce all over the place. So yeah, you can make it to where it is more in line for like a 5.56 kind of assault rifle.
Enemy at the
But the
center.
gun still kicks like crazy unless you put on like real heavy barrels to slow down. So it's a very similar story with this kind of gun. It's not really a whole lot different from the AK. In fact, it has a faster fire rate, so it does technically have a faster time to kill. Especially when you get headshots. So yeah, so I recommend using this build. It's the best one that I've found that works the best for me. You don't need to run barrels on it, that's one thing. The basic barrel works just fine. And you still have a pretty good amount of handling speed towards the gun. If you don't want to run the optic, put on something that will speed it up a little bit more. Like the stipple grip tape, that'll give you like another frame worth of speed there.
Back behind the barrel.
As you can see, like the iron sights are real open, so you can use this pretty well. You can see there, like the actual aiming stability makes it to where that doesn't move at all. So it works out really well for
Enemy at
longer
the
ranges.
forklift.
So it's a really cool gun. I just wanted to go over that. It's kind of like the M13. It's just not really a really used gun a whole lot, even though it feels really good when you're in the gameplay. Like 9 times out of 10, you are going to be getting real consistent kills because it does have a 3-shot kill range. Like here's the really cool thing. So the AK has a 3-shot kill potential, but you have to hit certain parts of the body, like the upper torso, in order to get that. For this gun, you don't need to do that. It's a 3-shot kill anywhere on the body. So that means like hitting the limbs, hands, toes, like anything like that. As long as you're hitting the body anywhere, you will be able to get a minimum of like 3 shots to actually kill someone, unless you hit them in the head. Obviously that will give you a multiplier and you can get a 2-shot kill out of that, which is really, really good. So for consistency, it is really good. It feels really, really great. And but on paper, it just doesn't really seem like the best gun, like the M13. It has like a real fast fire rate, but it doesn't just really hold its own for time to kill unless you get yourself another headshot, and then it will be able to wipe people out. So it has a little bit of a skill gap to get, but it is extremely consistent when you do figure out the right build to use, and this one I think works really well for what it is. Obviously you can run a smaller barrel and kind of mess around on it a little bit more to builds that you guys like, but this is the best one that I found that works really well for me. But I want to know, what do you guys think about the actual battle rifle? Do you like it? If not, you know, let me know down in the comments. And aside from that, guys, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.